The fourth question is a doozy. This is going to be a long one. How does one navigate or reconcile the fact that gender presentation is linked to how we manifest our sexuality, i.e. butch lesbians or high femme gays? I'm not really sure on that because in my personal experience, like I said, my outward presentation hasn't really changed that much as far as the types of clothing and things that I've always chosen to present myself with. That's pretty much been the same. The thing that has changed is my physical presentation. So I think the physical changes in my body have really done a lot for me in opening my mind towards sexuality and gender and the relationships between them more so than my actual presentation. So in that respect, my sexuality has been in pretty, fairly constant evolution. Because if you think about when growing up, I started out, where, everybody just assumed you're going to be straight. I was a tomboy. It was very apparent early on that I was, a masculine child. But everybody thought that one day I would magically blossom into this little princess that would, want to get my hair did and wear dresses and go to the ball and all that shit. And no, I was a tomboy, and a tomboy I stayed. By the time I was in junior high, I was realizing that, I was interested in girls as well as guys. I was interested in guys too, but I think at that point it was a lot more like a hero worship, like I wanted to be them more than that I wanted to actually be with them. But after, I considered myself bi at that point because I did realize that I was attracted to both. But after a few experiments with, the straight boys of my age group, which wasn't that great, I realized that I was not comfortable with the way they related to me emotionally or physically. And at the time, I didn't really know about trans stuff or gender identity dysphoria stuff or anything like that, so I didn't know that it was because of my dysphoria. So I just became really uncomfortable with dating guys, straight guys. So I primarily, at that point, dated women. For a long time, for several years, I primarily dated women. And I considered myself a lesbian, even though I knew that something about that label didn't exactly sit quite right with me, because I had always, as far as I could remember, I just always felt that, that I should have been born male, that my body didn't match my mind, and that, all the way that society and, everything that goes along with that, the way that I had been treated, that my life would have been drastically different if I had been born in a body that more closely aligned with my emotional self. So I really knew that there wasn't something right with that. And after a few years, growing up and talking to people, I realized that I thought about myself in a lot different of a way than most lesbians thought about themselves. So I knew I was different from them, and through a little bit more research, I started learning about transgender issues and gender dysphoria and things like that, and I fairly immediately knew that that felt right, that those definitions fit me, and I sought out therapy and began my transition. I knew that that's what I wanted to do, that that's what I needed to do. Um, and through the, you know, experience of transitioning my own gender, um, and being able to feel right with my body, with myself, or, you know, more closely attuned with it anyway. Um, through that experience, I've been able to come to a new appreciation, and a new a new level of comfortability with the idea of being with someone of any gender, be it male, female, trans, intersex, whatever. Um, that kind of stuff just doesn't really matter to me so much anymore, because I feel like if um, if the person has the emotional and physical connection, um, and the personal compatibility that would promote a good, you know, healthy, long-lasting relationship, I don't really think gender should be a main deciding factor for that. And um, I'm not going to reduce my options based on physical body parts, especially considering all the things that I've gone through to make my body more comfortable to me. So, as long as I think a relationship is viable, gender isn't going to be a deciding factor for me. So I now identify as pansexual, and I choose pansexual rather than bisexual, because bisexual implies that there are only two genders. And I, of course, don't subscribe to the gender binary. I think that there are vastly more genders than two. I think gender is different for every person. Um, but if you had to, you know, pick a number, I'd say that there's at least 5 to 7 different genders out there, and I think people should start recognizing that fact. And I think that life in general would be a lot easier on everyone, including straight people that maybe look like they might be gay or whatever else. I think even they would find life a lot simpler if gender and orientation just weren't, you know, just if they just didn't matter, because ultimately I don't think that they really do. I think it should just be about your personal connection between yourself and another person, and that's really what should matter. So that's my evolution of sexuality, and if you have any other questions, I guess let me know. Bye.